Joe, are you starting cold with no music? Joe, are we starting cold with no music?
Jim, you're on.
So, all right. So you're going to have to edit that front part out. You're going to edit music onto the front?
I thought you could hear it. I apologize.
Nope, could not. All right. You'll have to edit that onto the front, okay?
Okay.
We'll do a code open. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome into Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. It's beautiful outside, a beautiful weekend for the most part. Hope you had a good one, and it's ready to get the week started. Plenty to get to. Lots of basketball to talk about. It was a gigantic weekend and prep hoops all over the place as usual. Nike, the EYBL was in Kansas City. We've got Caleb Knost with us to talk about that. Kyler Staley is going to join us later from the Hoosier.com to talk about everything else. Jim Reamer, of course, will be along. Dustin Dopirak from the Bloomington Herald-Times as well. Of course, all of this brought to you by our good friends from Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer, and the Wild Club. Make sure you go there and get signed up at your Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Eat, drink, and earn. Start earning WOW rewards today. It's easy to do. Just go sign up. It's free at mywownetwork.com. Welcome aboard. Caleb Knost with me. Caleb, how are you, man?
I'm well, Jim. Can't complain. Just got back from Kansas City.
Caleb, a contributor to the Hoosier.com, and you can go there and find everything that went on this weekend, by the way, which was a lot. But just a lot happening there in Kansas City over the weekend at the Nike EYBL event with a lot of IU recruits or targets and a lot of IU coaches there in force as well.
Yeah, they were at times they were 3 or 4 deep. Yasir Roseman was there all weekend. Kenya Hunter bounced in and out. I think he was there the second most. I only saw him once, man. He's elusive, but he was there with them. They were taking a long look at a few guys out there heavy after, especially the 17s.
What was it? Arrington Page, was he there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, was he? There was, I think that the one that they were really all in watching the one game, was it his game? It's hard to keep them all together.
It is hard to keep them all together, and they move around a lot. I know they were all in for him once, and they were all in for TJ Power another time as well.
Whom is obviously high on their list. Jamie Kaiser sets an official visit. There's just all kinds of info to get going on that, but it was a big weekend. It's because there was just action going on all over the place, not just in Kansas City, but you were able to be there. Getting to see that stuff live it's so different, because I try to tell people, until you see guys like Trent Sisley and Jalen Harrelson, who were so young, but they're just freaks of nature because they look like they're college players today. And getting to play on that kind of stage in front of those kinds of coaches. What performances did you get to see there?
Yeah, like you said, they are kind of freaks of nature. We also, we forget sometimes that like being 6'7" and that fluid and smooth is not normal for a human being, much less a 15-year-old
kid. Yeah,
it's wild.
I want people to think about that. 15 years old, and it is just. Is still growing and going through all this, but it is doing things that's 3 years older than he really beyond his years, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Another couple of guys that kind of impressed me really physically, Darion Reed from the Skill Factory. He plays 16s. I think he's a young 16 though. I think he's class of 24. He was really impressive physically as well. But right about a legitimate 6'6", 6'7", maybe in the 180, 190 range. He's got to put on some weight, but he's 16 years old, So he was another guy that really impressed me physically out of those younger crew.
Well, let's speaking of which, there was a lot of guys there, Cohen, Carr, Arrington, Page, and more. Who is there anyone that did stand out more than anybody else? Or there was a lot of great Friday night. Who was it that had 33 point, had a big night?
Yeah, we'd be doing him injustice to not start with my man TJ Power.
Yeah.
He had a massive weekend. I think he averaged, I didn't see what he ended up with yesterday against in their final game, but he was averaging 30 points a game going into Sunday. And a big part of that too is their point guard Trey Norman on that BABC team has some kind of stress fracture. So it was good to see him have an expanded role and step up into that role and really take over that team. He put up 41 and 15 against a really tough Houston Hoops team. Mo Taylor coaches that team into the ground. He's so tough. And he, like I said, he came out and dominated start to finish. They needed him big late, went to overtime. He was making everything, well beyond NBA, crafty inside, finding, they got another shooter, Reed Desharm on that team. And, and those two play really well together. I think he might end up at Syracuse, but he couldn't miss, man. He was on fire against Houston.
I know that Cohen, Carr, Arrington, Page are two guys that Indiana are hot on, and but TJ Power, man, how was he getting most of his points?
He's a jump shooter, man. He really is. I told my dad he's a little bit taller, but he's Scott May. He can score from anywhere on the floor. All three levels. He doesn't have elite athleticism, but he is so crafty. It does not matter how you guard him. It does not matter where he's at. I mean, he was hitting 25, 26 footers yesterday. It's he's just that kind of shooter and that kind of scorer.
How tall is he?
I think he's about 6'7".
He sounds like
listed at 6'8", 6'9".
He sounds like I hate to say this but Larry Bird type. When I hear crafty, I think Larry Bird, because Larry Bird was as crafty as they get. And it didn't matter if it was passing, shooting, scoring, period. He would find a way to do it. But because, again, not the most athletic of people, and you mentioned that so is there any similarity? I haven't seen TJ play.
He does wear number 33.
No kidding. That's funny.
Yeah, there's some similarities. I think he's a little more. He kind of bases a lot of his scoring off positioning and movement. He's not dynamite taking people down off the dribble. He is crafty inside. I got to see him play earlier this year in the circuit against Milan Momcilovic from Team Hero, who's a real similar guy to him, but a little bit taller, a little bit bigger. And he was just so smooth inside. He looks like a kid who grew up in the post and, but always had a really nice jump shot. So they've moved him around a little, but with Trey Norman being out, he's really the focal point of that offense. So, he doesn't get a lot of things off the drive. He gets a lot of catch and shoot. He gets a lot of screens. They run a lot of action for him. They're a little different than a lot of EYBL teams. They play good team basketball. You don't always see that. But yeah, most of his looks are 15 to 25 feet, and he buries it. Hands in his face, doesn't matter.
I know a certain college team that can use a guy just like that right now.
Well, apparently there's another one. Kansas jumped in the mix and threw him an offer yesterday. So,
well, did he receive an offer? Well, those guys are going to get offers all over the place. There's no doubt about that. I mean, a lot of these guys in Indiana. Do you think that Trent Sisley? He just got an offer from. Was it Trent? No, who? Someone just got an offer from Auburn, I believe. One of the IU targets. I forget who it is, but I'll have to go back and look that up. But yeah, the offers are going to come for those guys. But I think Indiana is now going forward in just a good position with any recruit that they pursue than they can be. I mean, Indiana kids, Trent Sisley and Harrelson, those guys, I don't see Sisley getting out of the state of Indiana. And I don't want to get talking on him too much because he's a 2025 kid. And that's
right.
Man, I don't know where I'm going to be in 2025. But the here and there now, that certainly matters. Who the targets they're chasing right now for next year have you seen that really has stood out the most and that you think would be the biggest gets for Indiana?
Out of the 17s?
Yeah.
So I'm not as high on AP. Arrington Page as a lot of people. Really gifted physically. He has some concerns about his motor. I think that's largely a coaching and situational thing. I mean, if you look at a guy like Xavier Booker, he had questions about his motor, and then after the powers that be moved him up so high in the rankings, all those concerns went away. Right now he's a worker. So.
But did they? Because he played against Flory Badunga, and Badunga just abused him.
Badunga's a different kind of beast, though. But those kind of concerns go a little bit to the wayside depending on the situation. I love AP as from a prospect standpoint, his skill, his size. He's really strong at 6'9". He's not way above the rim, but he's up there. But yeah, I think maybe someone with Woodson with some sage wisdom could kind of get him on the right track, motor and maturity wise. I got to see Cohen Carr again. Do 30 against a really good live-on team from Louisiana. I don't know how good of a basketball player he is. That's the problem. He's out of this world athletic. His fundamentals, his basic fundamentals, shooting the ball, handling the ball, defense are all really good, but they're not next level yet. So it's kind of he's kind of in a weird spot where he still needs a lot of coaching. But I mean,
why is he scoring so much? Because these are not teams generally where it's one guy or a superstar and four players. There's good players on all these teams. So to bust out and have big nights like that for these guys, it's not as easy as it used to be. How is he scoring so much? What's he doing to score?
Dunks. He dunks everything, and they have three really, really dynamite guards on that Georgia Stars team that set him up like crazy. I think he had 4 alley-oops in that game against Live-On where he had 30. He did hit a nice 3. He hit some good or looked good from the free throw line. He can do some things, but I think the crown jewel for that class is still going to be TJ Power. We asked Jusir Roseman, me and another guy that were down there working the event, and we said, do you need any, insight, any stats, anything like that? Just bounce it off him. He said, the only thing I need is a TJ Power commitment. So I think they've got their sights set on TJ. He's certainly going to be due for a nice bump in the ratings. I think he's in the 60s as it is. I wouldn't see him be borderline McDonald's All-American 5-star status before it's all said and done.
Well, that's that. And those are the kind of players that Indiana has to land to get back to the land. I know Indiana fans are excited right now, as they should be, because Indiana's team is going to be better next year. I still don't see them as an elite team next season. I don't think that they're going to be national championship caliber. And that's not a knock on them. That's a climb. You got to get there. They're getting there. But they're close. They're very close. As a matter of fact, I think they're a TJ Power type player away. That's it. But to land someone like that, yeah, that changes the game when you have a guy that can just score, period. And that's what TJ Power sounds like, a guy that can just score. Because when I hear crafty, I'm like, that guy's going to get some points and he's going to make you pay. So he sounds pretty impressive.
He is pretty impressive. And like I said, it was especially impressive this weekend because, their starting point guard went down, who had been having a really great circuit himself. He's been battling DJ Wagner's of the world and, the Simeon Wilchers of the world in the UIBL, and he's held his own, more than held his own. So him stepping out and TJ being able to fill that void basically seamlessly. And they had a great weekend. Their record doesn't really reflect their season and the caliber of team they were. But yeah, he was very, very good. He's an impressive kid for sure.
Let's see. We've got to take a quick break. When we come back, Tyler Staley's going to join us from thehoosier.com, and we'll talk some more recruiting, but this time the other event, the Adidas, the 3SSB and whatever else is going on. Caleb's going to hang with us, and we're back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by our good friends at Cabello Restaurant, a part of the WOW Club. Cabello, located on the square in Bloomington, in the location, the former Grazi location, on the northeast corner of the square. Make sure you sign up for the WOW Club. It's totally free. Go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store and sign up today. Start earning WOW rewards. They are a proud sponsor of IU Athletics and a sponsor of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. So please support those who support you. Back with Kyler Staley and Caleb Knost right after this. Oh, all right. So we can't hear anything. Just FYI, Joe.
Yeah, I know. I can't really do anything about it right now. I'll just have to count you in from the commercial.
That's okay. That's all you got to do.
Okay.
I hate it, but it is what it is. Normally, Caleb, we can hear the commercials and all that. But that's okay. Right. Kyler Staley, meet Caleb Knost. Caleb Knost, meet Kyler Staley.
I know Caleb.
Yeah, we.
Y'all have? Where did you all meet?
EYBL. He helped me out.
Okay.
He got me into the indie event because they had denied my request for whatever reason. But no, Caleb's been a big help for all of us.
Oh, I know.
So.
He's a part of the staff, baby. He's a distributor to the Hoosier.com.
Yeah.
Escape the chat feed.
No, yeah, he's a big help, Caleb. Thanks a lot. This past
what
weekend.
were you? What? Kyler, what were you watching mostly?
What
stood out? What stood out most?
Well, I watched both Adidas. Sorry,
more from Adidas right now.
Okay, yeah. Indiana Elite Teams, New World, Jamie Kaiser confirming visits.
Kaiser?
So we had a lot going on.
I'll tell you who really impressed me was Eli Crawford, that 16U from the Skill Factory.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
he is just a strong bodyguard. He looks like what we all thought Rob Finney was going to be after his freshman year.
See, now that's a kid that I haven't heard a name one time.
Really? Yeah. He plays at Legacy with Cohen Carr for high school.
But see, then what league are they playing in? What's the factory play in?
Oh, they're EYBL.
Yeah.
Oh, they are. Man, I haven't heard much out of their teams.
Yeah, Darion Reed just joined them this weekend as well, so they both play the Skill Factory. It's out of Atlanta, but man, he is so strong with the basketball. He's really organized. If scoring is at least 50% mental, then he's at least 50% a scorer.
I was real impressed with James Brown.
Yes, he was good.
That guy's a physical monster.
You know what? And you know what else? He feels good.
I knew you were going to say that.
He feels good. Kyle Guy, Eric Gordon. I'm trying to think who else has teams going in the state here.
George Hill.
George Hill,
All right, 23 seconds until we're back.
Who?
All right, 5 seconds until I start we're going commercial 1 right now.
Just
All
say
right,
go.
Jim, you're on in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back here on this Monday, Indiana Sports Beat Radio at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you as always, joined by Kyler Staley from the Hoosier.com, as well as Caleb Knost from the Hoosier.com, both attending the recruiting events going on, AAU events going on over the weekend, which is coming to a head closely. But Kansas City, the Nike EYBL, Caleb was there, Kyler Staley taking in the Adidas 3SSB. A lot of action this weekend, Kyler.
Yeah, it was a big weekend. It's the 1st of July live period going on. So everything from EYBL, Adidas, Under Armour, NY2LA, Prep Hoops had an event. Big one, big time event for all the coaches to get out and everything. Adidas had their championship this past weekend, which saw the Indiana Elite 2024 team with Flory Badunga, Cooper Koch, and Iowa commit, and Indiana Targets Riley Burgess and Travis Perry. Their team dominated that whole entire tournament, ended up winning it. And then as far as the 2023's New World, which consists of Indiana Target, Kaiser. I'm blanking on his first name right now.
Jamie Kaiser.
Yes. Jamie Kaiser. He also confirmed a visit for Indiana at the end of July. So he's a high priority target. Coach Woodson and Brian Walsh were there to watch him in his championship game, which went into 3 overtimes for them to win it.
Wow.
So a lot of action going on. It was a good weekend of basketball.
Indiana staff busy because I know they were back and forth between Kansas City. They were out there where Caleb was and bouncing into where was the Adidas event?
That was in South Carolina.
South Carolina, yeah.
They were also in Atlanta as well to go see Xavier Booker. They were everywhere this weekend.
That's well, you got to make hay when the sun shines, boys. And Indiana, the staff is getting on it. One thing you can say about Woody is he has made sure they're attacking recruiting, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed with that from the standpoint that he had never coached college basketball. He didn't know what recruiting was like, or how hard it was really, and especially in this new day and age. And this staff, they have done as well as anybody. They're at every event. They're there. Woody is there. Woody is a face of this program. So I've got to say, I'm pretty impressed with his recruiting.
Yeah, I mean, they are dedicated. He's got a great staff that showed him the ropes on how to do this stuff. That staff works extremely hard. Especially, Brian Walsh, who wasn't an assistant coach last year. I mean, I talked to any recruit out there, their number one guy is Brian Walsh, which is baffling to me. And then, of course, you got Roseman, that's covers a lot of the Georgia area, which they recruit. And Kenya Hunter's just kind of, he's just out there. He's getting a lot of good players as well. But no, that staff has really taught him the ropes on how to do that. And he really is, he is dedicated, and which is good to see if you're an Indiana fan.
Well, yeah, especially because who have you spoken with recently that was at the USSB, or did you speak to anyone after it to see how the weekend went?
So we just talked to Jamie Kaiser. That was the big one, getting him to confirm the date. There's also a couple other visits coming up that we spoke from EYBL, TJ Power, and Arlington Page going to visit in the fall as well. So that was kind of the main 3 players that we talked to, which are probably the top 3 besides Xavier Booker. That's in that 4, probably the top 3 high priority targets for Indiana.
TJ Power, 30-point game as Caleb was talking about. He has just been, he sounds like a jewel in any recruiting class. He sounds like a centerpiece on a team. How is that recruiting going from your standpoint that you've seen throughout the season for Indiana?
Yeah, no, he is a top priority for them. I think it's going to come down to Virginia and Notre Dame. That Kansas offer came in yesterday, so you always got to watch out for them. But I think that it just kind of came in too late on that. The big thing is to make sure his Indiana visit goes really well, which I have.
Notre Dame? Why?
Do what?
Notre Dame? I mean,
yeah, he actually has visited Notre Dame.
But why would you? I don't understand why he would. There's no way Notre Dame's going to have a very good NIL program, I wouldn't imagine. I haven't heard anything coming out about Notre Dame NIL, and that's with football. So much less with basketball. And they're, other than playing in the ACC, I don't see that. But Virginia, that's a little different, although they've been down a little bit. But man,
yeah, I think Notre Dame. I think they were one of the first schools to really recruit him. So, you always want to give love to one of those first teams that, started off, gave you one of your first few offers and everything. So I think that's where that Notre Dame comes from.
As you can see there, Brad putting up, he had 41 points on 11 of 19 shooting, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals in a win over Houston Hoops. That's nuts. Are you kidding me? 41 and 15?
Beast.
Overtime win as well. Went to overtime.
Why?
He played every single minute.
Who does he have offers from besides Indiana? Everybody?
It's about to change a lot. Duke was 3 deep for that game.
Okay,
they may have been watching Amir Ali from Houston Hoops more than anybody, but they saw it. They were there.
He's gonna get every offer out of the Sun after this weekend.
Yep.
And I've talked about guys like Jalen Harrelson and Trent Sisley because they're so young still. The bigger the powers, they're not even paying attention to them because they don't have to. They will late. I expect guys like that to get offers from all over the place. Jalen Harrelson, of course, I mentioned earlier, already offered by Auburn. No surprise there. But those offers are going to continue for those guys because they are beyond their years, man.
Right. And if you want to have a shot at them in the next few years, you really got to start offering them now. You got to build that relationship like Indiana has done. They were very smart to do that. Get those offers in early and build that relationship.
Yeah. Speaking of that, daggone it, Sisley, I don't see him getting out of the state. He's one that they've been on. And him and Harrelson both, they play together. I think that they're on them both together. They would love to see them on the same team, but that would be a great double get for Indiana. I don't see Sisley being taken out of the state for sure, but we'll see. It's a long ways to go.
Yeah, I do. And as of right now, how early it is, I do see them kind of as a package deal. I kind of compare them to, like the Jalen Hood-Shafino, Malik Renew type of package deal, maybe. Those guys, those Sisley and Harrelson have been playing together since they were very little. Those guys are really good teammates, really good friends, have a lot of chemistry together.
Now, are they playing on the Nike or the Adidas?
Nike. Indy Heat.
That's what I thought. So you've gotten to see them a lot, Caleb.
I have. I've seen them several times.
I mean, I look at Trent Sisley at 6'7", and I've seen him play, and he's just got a nice, smooth stroke, plays confidently. And then, of course, Jalen Harrelson, gee whiz, he looks like a fullback at point guard, and I cannot imagine what the hell he's going to look like when he's a senior in high school. And that's before you make that jump to college and they start taking all those pictures of before and after when they get you in the weight room. They may have to take a few pounds off of him by the time he gets there, man. He is just a different human. His body is 4 years ahead of most kids.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like Calvin Johnson or somebody, I mean, he's just that kind of athlete. I got to see them get up against Mean Streets and James Brown. And like I said, James Brown is a physical specimen himself. He's every bit 6'9", 220 as a sophomore. So, Harrelson Sisley, no trouble taking contact at the rim, no trouble, battling with him for rebounds, position inside. They do just fine physically against some of these big boys in the EYBL as well. Interesting tidbit that we had already talked about, me and Kyler, the other day is Dane Fife on the bench for Indy Heat 16s this weekend.
Yeah, I just saw that. Brad throwing that up there. That's interesting, but Dane is still here, and he just texted something out, tweeted something out yesterday. It was Tim Garl's birthday, and just talked about how much he loves. He's one of the reasons he loves IU basketball and always will. But now what's the Indy Heat? Which one is that? Is that rival or Adidas or
EYBL?
Okay, so that's the Nike team. So he was in Kansas City this weekend?
Yes, he was.
That had to be interesting. That had to be very interesting for the IU coaching staff to be sitting across from that, watching that game.
Yeah, they so IU was too deep for when they played the Syndicate with Aiden Sherrill out of Utah, and Dame Fife was sitting directly across on the bench. So that was I'm sure an interesting dynamic.
I wish we could have gotten a picture of that. That would have been cool. What's coming up next? Let's see.
I'm not sure about Adidas. Peach Jam is coming up next week.
Would it help to switch to? Are you talking about the Nike tour? No, they would not. Well, first of all, they're an Adidas school, so that's not going to happen. So yeah, go ahead. What would you just say?
Peach Jam.
Peach Jam.
Oh yeah, coming up this weekend, the big deal.
Yeah.
Or actually, it starts what? Tomorrow?
No, that's next weekend.
17th.
Yep.
Starts the 17th, I believe.
Yeah, that's the Nike. That's the big Nike event. They just got done with their 4th session, so all the teams that qualified for that, that's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, event of the year.
Who all will the teams that are there? I mean, how many teams are in that event?
It's been 16 in years past. The top 4 from each division. There were rumblings that maybe they're going to put it at 24 this year. But I'm not sure about that. If it's only 16, then I think the only guy that's making it really on IU's radar in the 17s is Cohen Carr, and Georgia Stars will be in. Indy Heat didn't make it. Let's see. I've got it pulled up. Yeah, Indy Heat didn't make it. The ABC and Power didn't make it. Oh no, Indy Heat did make it. Even with a 9-10 record, they squeezed in. So Pro Skills lost yesterday. That helped them. So 9-10, they squeezed in. If it goes to 6 teams from each division, then we'll have to see again. But Indy Heat will be there 17s. So nobody really for Indiana on that team. Dre Gibbs Lawhorn and Caleb Glenn are on that team, but Georgia Stars and Cohen Carr are definitely in.
What about the 16U team?
Let's see.
Just interested to see if Fife's going to be there.
Yeah, he's like special assistant. That's what I've heard.
Well, yeah, of course.
Well, former IU flavor on there with Austin Etherington, I think, runs the 15s too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting. You know what? I've seen him there. I've talked to him last time I was at an event. But I thought that was an Adidas event that I saw him at. Huh. Indy Heat did make it, according to Matt. Matt. Thank you, Sue. Sir, tell me where you're from, Matt, because I like to write those down. Tim says IU, one of only 3 Adidas schools in the Big Ten. Oh, yeah, who cares? Well, I mean, yeah, I just don't mean it negatively, but I'm like,
there's no correlation between to at least to my knowledge, even in the underbelly of it all, to the Adidas Nike high school leagues and the Adidas Nike high school or college programs.
It doesn't.
I don't think there's a link there.
That used to be an issue. I mean, it wasn't that long ago either. As a matter of fact, I'll just go back to the Romeo Langford era. Let me tell you, if you don't think that played a gigantic part, you're out of your mind. You just know you're not out of mind. You just don't know. I'll use a phrase I always like to use. You don't know what you don't know.
That's a good way to put it.
So Doughty, K-Matt, your son's name is Zane. That's right. Zane Doughty is on that team. He had a nice day yesterday against Team Harrow. It was nice seeing them pound Tyler Harrow's dad. He's a very animated figure.
Congratulations. What's that? Say that again.
I said Zane, his son Doughty, on that 17U Indy Heat team. He had a nice day yesterday. Him and 50, both those bigs looked pretty good. They were on fire out the gate against Team Harrow from Wisconsin. Tyler Harrow's dad coaches that team.
Now Tyler, the former UK player?
Yeah, his dad, he has an AAU program. His dad's the head coach of that program.
Yeah, and I was thinking earlier too, and I brought that up. How many right now Indiana programs? We've got Kyle Guy has one. The Teague boys has one at the factory. Eric Gordon has one. I'm talking about leagues now.
Yeah.
Jordan Hulls used to have one, but he has to either let it go or step away from that because of now being involved in coaching. Trying to think, any others out there from India?
Glenn Robinson he just joined this year. It used to be a program called Indiana Game, and then Glenn Robinson kind of came in and I guess bought it or whatever. George Hill's got one, all Indy. That's who Xavier Booker plays for. Trying to think who else. But yeah, Jordan Halls still does have his, but like you said, that one could be going away.
I think his is only in Wisconsin now. The teams that we have are only up in Wisconsin. He used to have JH1 going here, but yeah, that's got to go away. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And pretty cool that Dane got involved. I love that. I love Dane. He's a good dude. Happy to see him imparting his knowledge on there. Let's see. I think we got to take another break. Let's see. David just wanted to stop in and give a listen and break. We'll definitely be listening to y'all later after he gets off work. He's in Orleans, not too far. Thank you, David. We appreciate you, brother. We've got lots more coming up. Let's see. Are you guys back or where we are in this break?
I've got to hop off.
Kyler's got to go. And I think Dustin Dopirak is up next anyway. So, guys, appreciate you. And we'll do this again next week, I think, as the AAU season is continuing, but about to wrap up. Caleb, I cannot thank you enough from thehoosier.com as well as Kyler Staley. And we'll look for all that information at thehoosier.com, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you very much. You've got Kyler Staley joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Metalworks Brewing Company, all part of the Wild Club. Metalworks, located right off the square in Bloomington, right off of the northeast corner. You can find it right there. Make sure you stop in, and it's all part of the Wild Club. Go to your Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and sign up. We've got lots more coming up as the great Dustin Dopirak from the Bloomington Herald-Times joins us next here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Man, that no commercial stuff just messes with my head.
Yeah, sorry, Jim. You're clear.
Oh, I know. Hey, Dustin, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Jim. How are you?
Good. Is that a Brooklyn hat?
It is a Brooklyn hat.
Love that. I love that. I love I just love the history of the Brooklyn Dodgers, the whole story of the Brooklyn Dodgers. Maybe it's because, and I don't know if I told you this, but Pee Wee Reese, when I was starting my TV sports anchor career, and I was a intern at CBS in Louisville, we got to go to Pee Wee's house because he's from Louisville.
Oh,
he was however old he was, and we're down in and he just lived in this modest house that you would never guess if you were driving around, never know. And we're down in the basement talking to him about whatever, and then there's these two little sections, holders of bat holders, and they're full of bats. And I'm just looking at those and I'm like, oh my God. And I just wanted to touch them because these are bats that were used in the 47 World Series and with Jackie Robinson, and maybe Jackie Robinson handed this bat to him.
Yes.
I'm just sitting there going, oh my, and this was before, oh my God, this was before these things.
Yeah.
No picture with Pee Wee Reese. No, none of that. I could have had, that would have been a treasure trove. But I mean, those bats, those Louisville Slugger bats that were 60 years old at the time. But that, you talk about some great history there, man.
Oh yeah. No,
I'd love to know where those bats are now.
Yeah. When did he pass?
You know, I
don't know. It all runs together anymore, especially.
Yeah, I don't know, because they have a statue of him and Paul Horning at the baseball stadium.
Okay.
At the AAA baseball
At
stadium.
Louisville Bats. Yeah.
Paul Horning was from Louisville as well. So
Yeah.
some great athletes, big time athletes. Now that I think about it, Paul Horning, Muhammad Ali.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, for sure. That's cool. I mean, I went down to Louisville when they were covering, when Purdue was there in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight a couple of years back. We got to really do Louisville. And like, so we did Muhammad Ali Center, and it was just terrific.
It is fun.
All right, Jim, I'm going to count you in here shortly. All right, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday, getting your week started right. The weather looks decent enough. It's clear skies, no clouds out there. Dustin Dopirak from the Bloomington Herald Times joining us as he always does. How was your weekend, Dustin?
Good, Jim. How was yours?
I did very little, so I cannot complain. Just watching basketball and hanging out. So there's not a lot else that I can do. We had all the AAU circuit still continuing, but did watch a little bit of the golf. I missed Wimbledon, which I guess I'm glad I did. I looked and I'm sick and tired of no one's ever going to beat Djokovic. I mean, he's won 7 Wimbledons now, and he has 21
4 in a row. Yeah.
4 in a row, 21 majors, one less than Rafael Nadal. And so, but it's just like tennis is the one sport where it just seems like they always have this guy who dominates for so long, but Nadal dominates on the clay. Djokovic is dominating on the grass, but Nadal's about done. Djokovic probably has a few more years than he might say.
Yeah, it looks that way. I mean, Nadal obviously, I think, he made the semis and then had to retire, had to sit out of it because I don't know what happened to him. I can't remember if it was a knee or a shoulder, but I think it was a shoulder. And he basically said, "I can't serve, so I'm out. I can't really do this." And yeah, no, I mean, it is remarkable, but like on the same scale, I mean, those guys have played each other a lot, and really, Federer obviously is. Reached the point that he's not nearly as effective as he was, but I mean, you had this sort of period where 3 guys really just stood atop tennis and were phenomenal. And I'm not really a tennis guy. I watch every once in a while. My wife likes Wimbledon because she went to it. Basically, she played tennis when she was in high school, and she did a study abroad in London and got to go to Wimbledon one year. So she tries to watch the finals every year. But it has been wild to see having 3 guys really be at that top level historically among the best ever, and have them all playing at the same time. And so now as Federer and Nadal start to age out, you have Djokovic who's just going to stand at top of this thing, and you're waiting to see if somebody else makes a run. And I don't know how you pronounce his name, but Kyrgios at least gave him a game yesterday. I mean, Djokovic ends up beating him in 4 sets, but I mean, it wasn't embarrassing. I mean, he was in a tiebreaker in the last one. So, maybe that guy turns it into something. Not sure. So
I know you're probably not a big NASCAR guy, but did happen yesterday in Atlanta. Chase Elliott won that race, which was significant because he became only the 2nd ever Georgia-born driver to win that race, which they've been racing in Atlanta for a long time.
That seems pretty crazy.
It is.
That more than surprises me that's never happened.
And Bill Elliott, a big name, obviously in NASCAR, and Chase Elliott as well. They have the pool hall down in Dawsonville, which is a big deal. But quickly, I will say, and who else they said it? They agreed. It was one of the best races I have seen. I watched it on replay, and I skipped through a lot of stuff. But as far as a race, they were actually racing almost the entire time, and I mean by close. And it was a great finish, great everything. But they have recently refigured the track, and it's a 1.5 mile track. But they they built up the banking in the corners and turned it in almost to a super speedway. So it was incredible racing, and it was fun to watch. And I think NASCAR needs to do more of that if they're going to continue to be a major sport in the United States. Because that was fun. That was fun to watch. For me, I'm like, wow, it was great action. And then you've got guys that are, it's becoming such a young, the only bad thing is they're losing their stars. I'm sure, you know the names, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and all that. Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr., he's gone. Jimmy Johnson, he's over in IndyCar, he's done with NASCAR and trying to, that'll be a done, but he is done. You got so many guys that are out of the sport now that were just in it, and it's so young, it's mind-boggling. It's never been like this ever. And those drivers, the youth is amazing, but they recently changed cars. This is they call it the next gen car, where they're all different manufacturers, but everything is as similar as possible. And they've had 13 different winners this year, and the top 16 make the playoffs. They've never had, it's the most winners ever since the second year of NASCAR. So that's mind-boggling in itself, and it shows they have certainly brought parity to their sport. But that was a hell of a fun race to watch yesterday, I have to say.
That's fascinating. I didn't know any of this, but I mean, it's fascinating to hear all that, basically, because as you mentioned, it seems like the names that we're sort of used to seeing are starting to age out of it, and so when it becomes a new list of guys, I mean, how do you market that? Basically, I think every major sport sort of has that question to deal with at some point in time or another. It's like, so when you build, your marketing around a certain group of guys for so long, and there's I don't know. I mean, basically that they have these personalities and they're these type of people, and you marketed around them for so long, and then you've got to change because it's just a new group of people. How do you do that? The
biggest thing is, though,
they makes a difference, because you get all these names involved and let them fight it out and sort of.
Yeah. Well, their names, their stars were stars for so long, and it would barely cycle out. Even when one or two would drop out, there was still more to come along. And it was, it's never been like this. It's not far from just being an unbelievable changeover. There's just a handful of what I would call names left that are currently going, but these other guys are successful. But I don't want to stay on that too long, but
great, because I don't know anything about it.
I know that. It was just an interesting thing. Your latest piece, I think, was about Caleb Banks, as we got to speak with him last week, and for the first time. He met with the media for the first time, and he's an enigma because while CJ Gunn we know plenty about, not a lot has been talked about with CJ Gunn. Most of the attention has gone to Jalen Hood-Schifino and his high school teammate, Malik Renault, because of obviously their the big 5-star recruits coming in. But Caleb Banks is unknown. We haven't seen him play. He's from Georgia. Don't know, haven't heard much from him, but he is someone that could come in and just surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think Zach went down to Georgia to see him
make a deal. He didn't make a deal with the devil, did he?
He did not make a deal with the devil. He's heard how that goes, and I don't think he's that as far as I know, he's not. Doesn't have quite as good as fiddle skills as Johnny, but he one of the things he told me, basically, because I kept saying, like when he committed, I was like, well, okay, what's the downside here? Basically, I mean, like, why is he only a top 80 player? He's a 6'8" wing, a lot of length, but straight perimeter skill. I mean, you watch his tape, and there's nothing wrong with his handle. There's nothing wrong with his shot. He can hit threes. I mean, he handles the ball like a guard. I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about the transition that Jordan Geronimo would need to make to become a 3. Caleb Banks is there, like that, like basically like Jordan Geronimo is trying to be able to do with the basketball what Caleb Banks can do with it right now. So it's just like you're looking at it, it's like, okay, what's the catch here? Because 6'8" guy with that kind of perimeter skill, he's averaging 23 a game in Georgia. Why is he not a top 10 player? sort of has been sort of my question. And the best that Zach could sort of explain to me is that, for all those numbers, it's just like he doesn't realize how good he is. He doesn't realize like the degree to which that he can like it's like he doesn't realize how he can maneuver yet. He does not realize how he can post somebody up, how just he can impose will on somebody. And it's there, and like the physical capability is there, but he doesn't realize just how to be the guy yet. And you see that, I guess, in travel ball is that, when he was playing for the Celtics, he was not the type of guy that would go get 40, like he could do in a high school game. And so like, basically that's it's just it's the strategy of it all of like you see these guys that are just killers, and just know like, all right, like I've got all this skill and I can just take it to you every single time. Like you can't stop me and I know it. And, I know how to get to my shot. I know basically, not only do I have this ability, but I know how to use it. And apparently that's what they're not seeing quite yet. They hadn't seen quite yet. But if the skill set is there, then he can figure that part out. You would have to think, and especially with college guys, with college coaches and basically everybody around him, you would have to think at some point, you can piece all that together. So, I mean, I got to see him more, myself to get a better sense of what that looks like. And we might see one or two games and be like, okay, I get it now. Okay, I see where the shortcoming is. But, again, just that base skill set of being 6'8" with that much length, that much size. And I mean, you've seen him on tape at least. He can break guys down, like it's like off the bounce, like he handles like a guard, he handles like a guard. It's not one of those guys who's got a, big old dribble you can take off of him. He's got pretty tight handles for a guy who's 6'8" and he can shoot threes. So, offensively, that's everything you want in a modern player is to have that much size, but also that much skill together. So, like if he came in and blew everybody's doors off and ends up in the starting lineup, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, obviously now similarly, it wouldn't shock me if you don't really see him again until, next year or the year after. But if he came in and blew, again, just ends up the starting small forward on day one, it wouldn't blow my mind.
Well, that would be an unbelievable plus for Indiana as well, because you look down the lineup of potential wings, and I'm probably missing somebody, but obviously Miller Kopp was out there last year, not a ton of production. Jordan Geronimo, one of the names that we're expecting to see what improvement he has made offensively, because that is what he has to do to improve his game most. And then you've got Tamar Bates as well. And what jump is he going to make in this freshman to sophomore campaign? So they have a lot of potential positives at the wing position. And that's, I guess, one of the, besides shooting, that's the biggest question for this team. Other than that, they're pretty set. We know that they're deep. We know that they have solid play at every position at the one. I'm even going to concede that Jalen Hood-Schifino is going to be good at the two. We don't know. Miller Kopp, of course, will start. I'll promise you that. I don't know who's going to be four. And I guess it'll be starting off with Race Thompson and Trace. Yeah. But what's going to be the rest? Who's going to be the guys that come in and do something that we don't know?
Yeah, no, the mix of the 2 and the 3 is really the interesting question as far as lineup is concerned, because you can have an all because basically a small forward at this point is a third guard. It's just a bigger one, more or less. But I mean, if you go, you can have 2 shooting guards and have one of them be, nominally the small forward, basically. So the idea of them having Hood-Schifino in the 2 and Tamar Bates at the 3, I think is a perfectly solid lineup. If Bates makes the leap that I think everybody really thinks he can make. So I think that could be a really good lineup. But yeah, I mean, Caleb Banks could conceivably be that guy. Jordan Geronimo could, if he, has the kind of guard skill, but just creates the kind of guard skill that Caleb Banks already has. Jordan Geronimo could be that guy. So and obviously Miller Kopp can just win the job back because they don't have anybody who's made the number of threes that he has in college. Basically, if it's, we just need to get a shooter on the floor and a proven shooter on the floor, we're willing to have other guys up there at the 2, have creators at the 1 and the 2 and have a shooter at the 3. That's totally possible. They would go in that direction. So a lot of things could go down. I mean, I still think Race Thompson starts at the 4 because 6-year guy, been productive. Just have a hard time imagining Mike Woodson benching him, have a hard time seeing him being demoted, as good as Geronimo is, as talented as Geronimo is. And obviously this runs into some issues going forward. But, Thompson's a guy that's been productive on both sides of the floor, scoring, rebounding, defending. Yeah, I have a hard time, seeing Mike Woodson benching that guy.
Dave G asking about Logan Duncombe. And, well, to be honest with you, I was going to say, I don't know because we haven't seen anything.
We always have to underline this, that, we're not allowed to practice ever, basically. And so it's like, I'd love to be able to tell you, I've been watching him at workouts all week and at, open gyms and stuff. Like, we're not allowed in there. Like, we would literally get arrested if we tried to go see this stuff. So, we're not. I mean, like, I don't think we're out there trying to fake it, but like, Indiana basketball does not let you see a lot of stuff. It does not make it available for the media. It's not public. So it could be, and we'll ask, obviously, what kind of progress he's making. Obviously, when we get to talk to Mike Woodson next, we're going to talk to him. But we just don't know.
And I'm sure he's making improvements.
You would have to think he's doing something.
But I'm also going to guess that he's not improved enough to where he is going to move any of the names that we've spoken about out, because the guys in front of him, it would be, he's
Malik
more
Reynolds
of an inside out.
Yeah, you'd have to think Malik Reynolds is the backup 5, and you have to think he's ahead of Logan. You just have to.
Oh, absolutely.
Logan was a good player at Muller. I mean, you kind of forget that because he was just so rarely used and just looked like, a fish out of water whenever they threw him on the floor. And it was just like, I'd have a hard time imagining that Reno's not the backup 5, that when Trace Jackson Davis comes up the floor, it's not Reno in that position.
I was as well. And
there are a lot, I think, to get ahead of Malik Reno, I think.
And we're not quite probably a month into them practicing together. They just arrived at the beginning of June. I'm not sure when they actually started working out to get together. So
I imagine the first day. I imagine they've been hooping since. It's a question of, I don't know when they did formalized, this is when you have to be here this day workouts. But these kids hoop, and they get there because it's like, okay, like that's what they're there for. That's what they showed up. So I presume they played pickup within 2 days. And
the thing is, they have to gel together. They have to get together quickly, especially when you see someone like Jalen Hood-Schifino, who I'm guessing is going to start. And
he's at least the backup point guard. At worst case scenario, if he's not the starting 2 next to Johnson, then he's the backup 1. And Xavier Johnson has to come off the floor sometimes. He's not he has the athleticism. He has the endurance to play 40 minutes. It's the staying out of foul trouble and not turning the ball over part. And so, he'll play 27, 28, 29. Like, so Hood-Schifino is going to get at least like 12, 13 minutes a game at point. And I presume then that you're finding another, 15 or so at the 2.
Speaking of Xavier, that's exactly something he is going to have to do. He's going to play at a little bit higher level last year, and that's not that he didn't. He played at a very high level, especially at the end of the season. But he's got to be able to do that and not get in foul trouble, because if there's anyone that Indiana needs on the floor, it's Xavier Johnson. I think that they could. Well, obviously, Purdue game proved Indiana could go without Trace Jackson Davis and alter things. But I think without Xavier, they would be in trouble. I mean, he really made the offense go.
Yeah, I mean, they would have been in huge trouble. I guess obviously last year they had Rob Finney as a backup, and he was fine. He did okay. Obviously defended well. And on the flip side, basically whenever Finney was healthy, obviously there was the issue of when Finney was not healthy, you didn't really have a backup point guard. You had to go to Christian Lander, and he wasn't really performing all that well. And then Lander was hurt too. So when both of those guys were out and Johnson was out, you didn't really have a point guard. You were forcing Trey Galloway into that position and some other guys, Parker Stewart or whatever, some other guys to bring the ball up that weren't really built for it. Hood Schifino gives them a guy I think they can trust. So Johnson's really important. I don't want to dismiss that, but getting a 5-star point guard who's very much got a college-ready body, whereas Christian Lander was a 5-star point guard that never had a college-ready body, and still might not. Hood Schifino is a guy that he's big, he's muscled up. You can put him in there, and he can be that guy pretty much immediately. So they can live with him. You can live with Hood Schifino playing 20 minutes at the point. You'll be fine with that.
What do you?
Gets hurt. I think they'll be okay with that. That they're better set up, I think, to deal with it now than they have been in the past. That doesn't make Johnson any less important. He's a big deal. He's probably second on the team in returning 3-point shots. He made himself a 3-level scorer by the end of the year. Hood Schifino's got to get to the point where he can shoot it there. And I think the 3-ball is part of the game has been lacking a little. He's got a really good mid-range game. So Johnson's got all the pieces and the experience and all that kind of stuff. But I think you can trust Hood Schifino a little bit.
Kyle Guy apparently having a pro-am event. And it said looks like some of the IU players are participating in
that. Check that out. Yeah,
me too, because I'm not sure how that works rule-wise. Obviously, if
they
they're doing
did it, well, remember they did it. I'll never forget this between the 2010-11 and 2011-12 season. All the returning guys went and played at a pro-am, the pro-am at IUPUI. I think Carlos Knox was running it. And that was wild, because it's just, they don't put if you've ever watched pro-ams, they're like an all-star game every night. It's not, no one's running offense. No one's really playing defense, a little bit of one-on-one. No one's playing team defense. It's not a very structured environment, but it's putting you around a bunch of really good athletes. And, everybody's dunking and everybody's taking threes right off the bat. So it was Hulse, Sheehy, Oladipo. I think Elston played. He might have been hurt. Tom Pritchard, I remember. Sheehy dunked on somebody, and we thought he was going to get his butt kicked in the parking lot. It was amazing. He gestures that were at least somewhat crass on guys that you shouldn't do that to. Frankly.
Some Larry Bird action going on, huh?
Yeah. And Will's not Larry Bird. But it was something else. That whole thing was wild. And they made it a couple weeks, and they played all the way through, but they Vic. It was a moment for Vic. It's definitely one of the ones that I circle back on Vic's development and said, "Whoa, okay, that's him making a leap." He got the ball in his hand a lot that summer, and the summer before, the year before, he could only dribble in straight lines. But he was breaking people down, and he was going to get his own shot. And that was a moment. So if they're pro-amming up here, I'm going to go find that for sure. It's I knew Guy was having it. I didn't realize those guys were going to play. But it is legal. If it's NCAA sanctioned, college guys can go play in that. So it's a trip. It's again, it's not they're coached, but there's not systems, but it's just basically what you get out of it is you and a whole bunch of athletes just running, and you get something out of that. So I'll be intrigued to see if they do that with these guys.
Yeah, when you find out, let me know. What's up next for you at the Bloomington Herald Times?
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get some more basketball this week. I'm not sure who we're getting at all. So mystery guest on Thursday and Friday. Thursday or Friday. And we're gonna ramp football up here pretty soon. Probably not immediately, but I think we're gonna start meeting and talking about, all right, how do we cover this stuff? I was just looking at it today, man. They only got 6 commits so far. Nobody else in the Big Ten is under double digits.
They had their best recruiting season ever, or recruiting coming in class. But then that last year's killing them.
I said it at the time that it was going to be in it. This is when you were going to see it. that, I mean, I think it was impressive that they added people at the end of last year. I mean, there's something to be said for that, basically that they were able to not only keep the guys that they had, but add people. But I think one thing I was thinking, like, Tom Allen is not an easy guy to go back on a promise on. Like, you really, like, I think if I broke a promise to Tom Allen, like I would, like, I'd have to go to confession. Like, I mean, I would, need to say 20 Hail Marys. I mean, I couldn't, like, the guilt, I think, would just gut you because it's Tom. But, like, if you never make a promise in the first place, like, then you don't have that problem. And so, like, that's tough, is when you're carrying 2 and 10 around, it's tough to get anybody to make the initial promise. Once somebody like that has got you to promise him something, it's very, very hard, to bring yourself to say, no, I'm not coming. But if you never said it in the first place, it's easy to say, hey, thanks so much for the attention. I appreciate it, but I'm just not, I'm looking for something else right now. So they're having a hard time, and it doesn't surprise me that much. I mean, I think it's obviously a moving target in terms of how many scholarships they would have available, and that sort of thing. But that football at this point is, you have to just presume that you need about 15, 20 guys every year, regardless. So, it's tough. It is tough to carry 2 and 10 around on the trail.
Yeah, it is. And they're going to have to win this year to alternate. I'm not saying they have to go 9 and 3 or whatever, but they have to turn things around and show people that that's coming around, or the recruiting problems are going to continue with or without the NIL. Dustin, I cannot thank you enough, brother. Make sure you give Dustin Dopirak a follow, and subscribe to the Herald Times, part of the Gannett Network. I am a subscriber, and you got to read the paper, baby. You got to keep papers alive.
Yes, you do.
Dustin, thank you, brother, and I'll see you soon, hopefully.
Appreciate it, Jim. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Dustin Dopirak from the Bloomington Herald Times joining us. We've got lots more here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry. For down in southern Indiana near Sellersburg, you need that championship smile, go see Dr. J. I need to right now. I got a chipped a tooth. But reminds me, I got to make an appointment to go see Dr. J. I'm glad I did that. We're back with lots more Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Reamer is going to join us later, right after this. All right, so I'm just going to have like a short segment here, right?
Okay. You want to go to break around 9:50?
Yep. Well, he'll pop in.
Okay.
Give me a headline, or I'll make a headline, and you can chime in afterwards.
30 seconds. Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. Looking like a great day out there. Looking forward to doing something outside. We've been cooped up inside. Brought to you by this segment, brought to you, of course, by Barber Pop Realty, located in Southern Indiana. If you're looking for a home in the Southern Indiana market, down by Louisville, Floyd, Clark, Harrison counties, you need Barber Pop Realty services. Reach out to Matt at barberpop.com, and they'll get you taken care of. They've served Southern Indiana for 3 decades, so they'll get you taken care of. Lots of basketball talk here today. Is this weekend? It's the AAU circuit about to wrap up. Adidas had their championship this weekend, like you heard. The Peach Jam starts in next week. Under Armour as well. So you got all kinds of stuff going on. Go to thehoosier.com and to get it all brought down to you, to see who did what recruits went where, and who we had people all over the place, and they've got complete updates for everything. A lot of guys at TJ Power, man, killing it. We'll see if they can land him. I noticed my friend of the show, Dana Hunter-Benbow. I should have gotten her on the show, but she's got a piece in the Star that about you can live in an old high school gym for just under $300K. It's a half basketball court, half house. It's a spacious 11,000 square foot single family residence. Wow. 11,000 square foot, but it looks like an old gym from the outside. Brick, just straight walls, but it's nestled along the farm fields in Wilkinson, Indiana. Where is Wilkinson, Indiana? I'm going to have to quickly Google that to see where that is. Did you get off there? But wouldn't that be wild to live in an old Indiana high school gym? It's crazy. I'm looking at the pictures and the kitchen, which is gigantic. There's the cabinets and there's the stove. And what part of the court is that? That's sitting on the court. I wish I could send this picture to post that, but that's nuts. There's that part's got carpet on it. Man, but they should have more pictures. Very few pictures. More pictures. See, the guy that owns it went to school there. He graduated in the gym, and he also played basketball there. Poorly, he says. His wife is a retired teacher from the school. That's crazy. It hasn't been on the market long. Said his phone has been buzzing constantly this past week. He's shown it 20 times and has 3 offers with a sale pending already. Sits on 3.5 acres. It has a half basketball court inside with the original goal and original maple flooring, about 6,000 square feet of that. New living space with huge rooms have been added. So isn't that wild? Go check that out. Isn't that crazy? Well, they're the old wigwam. They talked about what they're going to turn. I don't know if they've ever done anything with that up in Anderson, northeast of Indy. All right, thanks, Ed. Ed B says Wilkinson, Indiana is northeast of Indy. So that's a good question there. Ross asks, would hate to pay the electric bill on that place. Well, we'd have to be like the old days, man. You just go in there and you got to warm up. Just you get the heat from playing, baby. But yeah, that's crazy. But looks fun. What else is happening for you guys? Great weekend, like I said, coming up. I've got basketball that's going to be finishing out, and then football's right around the corner. Big Ten Media Days, had to send in for my credentials. That's coming up, I think, on the, oh man, what is that? I got a 26th, I think, 26th and 27th. I'll have to look that up and find out when that was. I sent that off yesterday. But yeah, there we go. Big Ten. Let's see, the 2022 football media. It's going to be taking place, of course, at Lucas Oil again. So that is tremendous. That happened last year for the first time, and we absolutely enjoyed that. It is the best setup that they've ever had. Much better than having it up in Chicago. And I know they hate that because they can't have their big dinner, but it's much better. So it's taking place at Lucas Oil Stadium here in a few weeks, and we'll be doing our show live from there as we do each and every year. And we expect to have Tom Allen and a couple of the players on as well. We got to take a break. Is coming up. Jim Reamer is going to join us from courtside Indiana, as he always does here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at School Carrier, a part of the WOW Network. We're back with Jim Reamer on Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
All right, you're clear.
Hello, Jim Reamer.
You always hat that up like I've got something interesting to say.
That tells me I'm doing a good job.
That's the idea. Make it sound more interesting than it is.
It's what you got to do, baby.
I'm so freaking tired right now.
Why?
Just hold on. Got back just a trip to Atlanta for basketball.
Oh, you were down in Atlanta? That's good.
Yeah.
We had a guy, just had one of our contributors on the Hoosier.com contributor he was in Kansas City.
Oh, he was down. Which one was that?
You don't know him. His name's Caleb Knost.
I thought Alec. Where did Alec go?
Probably nowhere. But Caleb does stats for the EYBL.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's let's see.
We chart every game. All of our games.
What Arrington Page, man, he had 23 total rebounds and 50 total points in his 4 games. Not bad. Have to do the average, but
can you hear me munching my peanuts? Is that bad?
it would be if that was nothing that we could, the only thing that we could hear.
No, it won't be I won't do it when we're actually on the air. It's breakfast.
Oh, so are these those are the guys. They're not the teams.
Who's that? What are you looking at?
Just they got different names, so I thought they had the teams listed. They don't. They're by Trent Sisley was he shot 41% from 3. That's pretty good.
20 seconds.
Oh, that was in Indianapolis.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this bright and beautiful Monday to get your week started. Hope you're doing well and had a great one. We did. Brought to you by our good friends at Courtroom Sports Grill down in Bedford. They pride themselves on providing their guests with with fresh, innovative dishes designed to please your palate and your wallet. Every item on their menu is made from scratch using only the freshest ingredients, and they are a part of the WOW Club. Make sure you go there, sign up, Apple App Store, Google Play Store, start earning WOW rewards today. Our good friend Jim Reamer from Courtside, Indiana, joins us now, fresh in from Atlanta. How are you, sir?
I'm not sure how fresh I am, but I'm definitely in from Atlanta. It was a good trip.
Yeah, we just had the Hoosier.com contributor Caleb Knost on earlier. He literally just got in from Kansas City. I think he got in at 2:30 in the morning.
They're both about the same. They're both about the same drives, at least Indianapolis.
Well,
not sure where he's out of.
He flew, man.
Did he fly? Yeah.
But IU coaches very busy this weekend as they were in Atlanta, they were in Kansas City, bouncing around as things are about to come to an end, and they're trying to. This is the last live period for them, and they're going to do everything they can to get in front of these players, show them their love, and I guess that's about all you can do.
I think at this point, much of it, although there were some new offers come out this week, but a lot of this time, especially for the kids that have been recruited heavily up to this point, is really about FaceTime. It's just being seen more so than being evaluated, and it becomes kind of attendance taking, and I don't know how much of it is valued other than that. And it's unfortunate that it has to be that way, that a coach can't go see other kids and keep evaluating. And I don't necessarily mean other kids in the same class, but start recruiting younger classes and things like that, just to get a feel for what else they might be looking for. So, but it's still exciting for the kids. Definitely. There's no question about that part of it, to have these coaches at games. And there was a great turnout in Atlanta. I know that Under Armour and NY2LA was down in Atlanta, and Adidas was in Birmingham. So that and Kansas City, those 4 places drew a lot of coaches this past weekend.
Yeah, all 4 IU coaches out and about, and watching guys like Arrington Page out. I think he was in Kansas City. Who was down in Atlanta that the IU coaches were watching mostly that you saw?
It would have been Booker primarily. And in that, I don't really – the only out-of-state team I watch is Mid-Pro Academy out of Illinois. They're extremely talented. That's where Owen Freeman plays for, the kid that's committed to Iowa. They've got another kid named Ty Pence, who I think is going to have a chance to be a good high major wing. I'm not fully sure what his offers are, but I think he's got a Creighton offer as well as a few others. But Booker would have been the one, at least from an Indiana perspective, they would have been watching.
They are really targeting. I mean, they've got several guys that they have really made priorities. That they are really, really working hard, and Xavier Booker is one of those that they've really turned their attention to. I think
I didn't see much of an IU presence at his games, though. I know there was one of the assistants was there. I don't know. And I saw a tweet yesterday that where Woodson was at a game, but it appeared to be in Kansas, or it appeared to be in Birmingham at the Adidas event. So I didn't see Coach Woodson in Atlanta. It doesn't mean he wasn't there. It just means that I didn't see him. But Notre Dame was at George Hill's games. George Hill's the group that Booker plays for. Notre Dame, Mike Bray was at their games. I know at one point Duke was there, but it wasn't. It was a pretty full row of coaches. So there was a lot of different coaches there watching all the kids on both teams.
Let's see, who was the best player you got to see this weekend?
I love the Pence kid that I was talking about earlier. The 6'7" wing out of Illinois. Him and he is not the things he does for them for mid-pro academy, they've got a point. I need to have the roster handy. I wish I did. I'm sorry I don't. Their point guard is being recruited by a lot of really good mid-majors, and he also has an Iowa offer. And I think he may bypass that high major offer because he has a better feel for what his fit is. But Iowa does like him. So they've got the kid that's already going to Iowa, Owen Freeman. Then they got Ty Pence, who is the kid I really like. I think the things that Pence does in games with his length, he's got a really good body on him. He's super skilled and he can shoot it. He jumps well. I think there is some question maybe about defensively. Can he guard a high major wing? I think he can. I think he's gotten quicker as the spring and summer has gone on. And mind you, I don't see him every week, so I get a chance to see a kid like that. There's a little bit of gap in time where you can sort of see progress, whether it be physical or skill set or something that you haven't seen him done before because we've played them. I've scouted them. The things that Pence does in games are the things that I think he's going to be able to do at the high major level. Owen Freeman, he will have an adjustment. That's the big kid that's already committed to Iowa because let's picture him as a lot like Logan Duncombe. He's probably a little bit less of a high school player than Duncombe was at Moeller. But he was, he's definitely hard to cover. He's definitely a hard cover at this level, but he's just not super athletic. He's skilled. He is good. He's a good passer. They'll be able to run some offense through him, and he's got good 3-point range. But how much of that translates, I don't know. Duncombe, it was the same. He's a lot like Duncombe. He's just maybe about an inch shorter, probably not as long, and definitely not as good of a mullet as what Duncombe had when he came to Indiana.
Yeah, but he lost the mullet, man. He let it go.
He did. But those are the things. Those are the nitpicky things where you try to do. Like mostly people think that they're the core of their group is the point guard and Freeman, but I think the Pence is the kid who does things that really translate to a higher level.
So is there anybody that maybe made a case for themselves that hadn't that like stood out that was a little bit of a surprise? Not from the perspective of Indiana. No, not from a high major perspective. Not the games that I saw. The games that I watched, I was scouting for my group. We did watch George Hill. Sorry, I accidentally hit the mute button. We did watch George Hill play 2 or 3 games. I did watch that mid-pro team play because I love watching them play. They're well coached. I didn't see anybody that just wowed me. We played a couple of kids that it was hard for us to cover, but I don't think they were high major guys. We did have a lot of mid majors at our games, which was nice because they were at all of our games, so that was good. We did get some new looks, but the kids that we played, I don't know that we played any high majors this week that I hadn't already seen before, I guess is maybe the way I'm going with that. So not to the level that you're talking relevant to Indiana, but there were some kids that I think made cases to play at the Division I level. And, a couple of them were thankfully on my team. There's a kid on George Hill named Keon Miller, who I really like as well as a point guard. The 2 kids that I thought had outstanding weeks this week, 3 really, were Dylan Moles, our point guard, Preston Roberts, who's a wing from Noblesville, Spencer White, who's a wing from Carmel, and then and one more, Jake Cherry, who's a 6'10" kid from down in your area in Pekin. He goes to Eastern High School. All 4 of those guys. Yeah, Pekin. All 4 of those guys, from a recruiting perspective, had outstanding weeks. Pekin has never produced an athlete in the history of history.
They do. They do. He's a nice player, 6'10" kid with great hands, great feel around the basket. The issue with him is going to be strength. He's actually laterally pretty quick. We do a lot of different ball screen coverages with him that he's great in. He recovers well out of those coverages. I think he's going to need some probably an extra year of physical development, and I think he's got some Division I schools that are interested in him, so that will definitely will value him with a year additional strength. So we played a kid out of out of Texas, Gary Nunham, Normand, Normand, 6'7", 6'6" wing, outstanding shooter. He's got a lot of Big 12 offers. And we got a kid named Isaac Higgs from Evansville Rights, who absolutely is. He's a 6'1" guard that sometimes we put him in some special assignments where he basically goes no help. He doesn't worry about the ball. He just worries about the guy. And he shut that kid down. I never was more impressed with a situation like that than what he did. He just completely befuddled this kid. And we had a nice win against that group out of Texas. And that kid drew a lot of interest. And he's a kid that we respect. We put a lot of time into game planning against him. And credit to Isaac Higgs, had an outstanding game. And it didn't take away from his offense, And he's also a kid that I think academically could probably will have some Ivy League interest, and as well as some service academy interest. So it was a good week for us. We enjoyed the trip. We played really well outside of the first half of our first game. And all in all, it was a very productive week for our guys. And I know George Hill's group, they got the Final Four. We got to the Elite Eight. So the Indiana teams down there did really well.
Well, good for you guys. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Michelle took a trip up to the beautiful Mackinac Island up north in Michigan, and she says it's unrelated. Well, it's worth talking about. I've been to the UP, which is just over. It's actually north of Wisconsin, which is still a part of Michigan. Oddly, how is the UP not a part of Wisconsin? It has nothing to do. It doesn't. It doesn't even touch Michigan, does it?
I don't know. I've never been up that far north. It does not. It is separated.
But she said it was how beautiful it was with 70s and zero humidity, no cars, only bikes and horses.
I think Wisconsin couldn't close the deal on that. Maybe 200 years ago.
Your cat's checking things out. Well, I guess, but I've been up there, and I think I've told this story. I used to rodeo, and I had a rodeo in New Albany at the very bottom of the state on a Friday night. We don't get out of there until probably 1 a.m. And then I've got to take off, and I drive, and I just take off. I've got a truck that has 2 gas tanks, and I'm barreling, buddy, heading north. I'm rolling about 85. I get to Chicago area in 3 hours and 20 minutes. Land speed record. Thank God I didn't get a ticket, but I ended up in Madison, Wisconsin area where my partner was, met him, and then we had to be in the UP by about 1 that afternoon for a 2 o'clock rodeo. So all night, baby. But the point is, the night before, I was sweating my off. It was unbelievably horrible humidity and hot. And I get up there the next night, I'm wearing a jacket because it was just exactly as Michelle just said. Perfect 70 degrees, zero humidity. Hey, it's nice out here right now. The humidity, I cannot believe we've been very fortunate. The humidity levels today are awesome out there, at least around here. So looking forward to it. But let's see.
So it was warm down in Atlanta. Our hotel was just, the parking in Atlanta is terrible, by the way. We had a very nice hotel, but it was $33 a night, which is fine. I just left my car at the hotel. The parking at the convention center was $17 a day. There was no pass for coaches to park, no pass for the bus, like if any team had a van. So I guess the point where I'm going with this is that I rode a scooter all week. I love those things. I mean, I've ridden them before in Indy.
Best fun I've ever, not though. Yeah. Are you talking about the little bird things?
Yeah, but I've done them in Indy. I mean, I've done them in Indy. We go to Colts games and where we park is kind of a hike. So we always take the scooter to the Colts games, and we took the scooter to the White River State Park last week for the Bare Naked Ladies concert. And it's a great way to save on parking, by the way, if you want to do that. It's just park wherever you want and take a scooter in. But I was a scooter all week between the hotel and my games, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was, I don't know. It's to me, it's the future of travel. For those who have just a little bit of balance. But I really enjoyed it. It was a fun week of transportation to the games and to dinner.
The one time I went to Key West and was there for 24 total hours. But the funnest thing I did was the whole day we had mopeds and we were just on those mopeds, baby. And that was a blast. So I agree with you. It was fun. Hey, we got to take a quick break just to honor our sponsors. Don't forget, join the WOW Club. Make sure you do that. Do it for us, man. If you're a fan of the show, they are our proud and our biggest sponsor. So we really hope that you'll sign up for the WOW Club. You can do that very easily. And great places like BB's Market, who is your local meat store, caterer, everything else, no matter where you live. With some of the best custom meats around, BB's Market has the largest variety of in-house made products you'll find around. You can just go visit bbsmarket.com and you can order directly from them and make sure you're part of the WOW Club because that earns you more points. Back with more on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Reamer from Courtside, Indiana, right after this. We don't have commercials today, or we do, but we can't hear them.
Really? Come on, Joe. Come on, Joe.
You're clear.
There you go. Yeah. Do they allow scooters? Good question.
So now I'm thinking about buying one. The unfortunate thing with scooters is, at least around here, you can't be on the Monon Trail unless you have pedals, as I understand it.
Well, they've got those electric bikes, man.
I've got one. No, I have one. I bought one during that was my COVID money. So COVID money was sunk into all new works like computer stuff and an electric bike and a new water heater that went out. Conveniently enough, went out when all that stuff was coming in.
I got you beat. I've got to buy an automobile.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Where was I?
I'd like to not have to use a car. God, that was fun.
Let's see. No, damn it. I don't need that. I need this. Oh, crap. Trying to do too much here. The hell?
Remember those Segways? I mean, they're still around, but
oh yeah,
they we used to have a store here, right on the Monon, and I would go over there. I mean, I live 2 blocks away from the Monon, so I would go over there about seemingly once a month and test one. They never sold enough to stay in business, so they were always willing to let people roll around in them for a test drive. So it was kind of neat riding that, but yeah, can't really use that stuff on the Monon because it doesn't have pedals.
15 seconds.
Just glue some onto it.
I could do that. Like my satellite dish that still sits near my unit, but I don't really use it. Oh shit, they trimmed the bush while I was gone. Excuse me. Why'd they do that?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday, brought to you by our good friends from the WOW Club. Appreciate them very much. And Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Make sure you go there and sign up, as well as Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. If you're down in Southern Indiana, coming through there, right on I-65, pizza, burgers, beer, Everything is made fresh every day, and it is delicious. I promise you that. Jim Reamer still with me. Over the weekend, lots of basketball going on, but a few other things as well. We talked about a little bit about NASCAR, which you didn't get to see anything because you were in a gym all weekend. You had the prelims leading up to the Open, which begins on Thursday, the British Open, they call it the Open, 150th edition at the old club, St. Andrews. The big question is, will Tiger Woods play? He played 18 a round of 18 holes, practice round on Sunday at St. Andrews. So that has to be a good sign. You were talking about you can't have something on the Monon without pedals, and Robert P said he's got an e-bike, baby, and he loves it.
Yep, I've got one too. I love mine.
Well, then what do you need a scooter for if you got an e-bike?
Well, sometimes you just want an easy trip into town, and
doesn't that do that? And doesn't it go without pedaling, or you have to pedal that thing?
No, it's I pedal. I don't just let it go. I like to pedal it. It's enough to be exercise, but it's not work. So that's good. That's the nice thing about electric bike. So,
well, then why do you want a bird scooter? I don't see the difference, because the other one is better because it gives you the option in case the battery goes down.
I don't know. I guess there's a feeling it's a more casual stance. The bike you're leaning over,
and you get to sit down instead of having to stand up.
Hell, I don't mind standing up though. It's just a different feeling.
Yeah, I'd rather have the e-bike. Feel like
how often
control.
How often do you sit on your bike though and you feel like you're comfortable?
Well,
I mean, there.
No, I'm just sitting there thinking. I've got my the street bike that I have, the Trek. I just put one of those padded seat covers on there, man.
Well, sure, but I'm saying that how often do you sit on your bike and think, well, this is a comfortable position for me to be in? Now they do have the bikes that are more upright. There's like 3 classifications of bikes, of like normal bikes. There's upright, there's lean, and then there's what's the third one? There's a third one where it's like even more forward. I got a lean bike. I didn't get an upright. An upright bike would be like I think we would have called it a granny bike back in the day. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's not too many times I've sat on a bike and felt, God, this is comfortable. The scooter is just a little bit more casual. It's a different feeling. I don't know how else to explain it. But yeah, what Robert's saying, he pedals on flats and uses the motor. Mine is motor assist. So even when I pedal, I go just a little bit faster, but I've also got 6 gears. So on my highest gear, I can get up to 28 miles per hour, which that thing gets kicking. And at that point, it's exercise. And it is you do have to push it pretty well to get to that speed. So, but yeah, it's not like I'm going to be joining the Tour de France anytime soon either. So,
if you're curious about what Hoosiers for Good and their NIL is doing for Indiana, Turnstone is one of the charities that benefits from Hoosiers for Good, and they got a hint of what that is going to be this past Saturday, as Trace Jackson Davis and Race Thompson met with guests who had registered for Turnstone's push paddle and pedal challenge, whatever that is. It's a benefit thing, I guess. That's part, and they explained that that's the reason they were there. The Hoosiers for Good made that happen for them. I wish I had more time able to get this clip from Tyler Harris to over to John to talk about, but that's exactly what they're doing. Every individual student, he said, every individual student athlete at IU has a platform with having the name, the student athlete at Indiana behind it. Obviously, Trace and Race have a very big platform, but other student athletes, especially the ones who've signed in for the Hoosiers for Good first class, they have a platform to really amplify their missions. And it's pretty cool, to be honest with you. I'd rather see this than see the story of the guy in Miami giving what's his name, Nigel Pack, $400,000 a year for 2 years, and just give it to him. At least whatever these guys are getting, they're going out and doing stuff for it. They're making differences and having impact. And so,
let's go ahead. Be clear. And I know you're not saying that, but I want to be clear because some people think that's being critical of Pack. It's not. It wasn't Nigel's fault. This guy was a complete horse's butt.
Hell no, I'd have took it too.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you. I think you use this stuff for good. It flips the script on what it becomes about. Sure, you can compensate players and they do earn that money. They do deserve it. But it's also nice because it's tangible. It's tangible and transparent. You get a chance to see what these guys are making, and they get to invest a little bit into the IU community in this case. So it's a good experience. I agree with what you're saying.
Well, they certainly gave the collective the right name right off the start. Hoosiers for Good.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was their intention right off the bat, and they were fulfilling that mission. So you got to give them that. Ross asking, can you speak on how pro-ams work with IU players? Seems like coaching staffs will be concerned over injuries. That's a great point. That is an absolutely great point. I don't know why. What in the world? You look at what Seton Hall did to the Davis kid, not allowing him to play in the Indiana All-Star game because they demanded that he get at Seton Hall that week, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. But I'm really shocked that they're allowing their guys to play in this.
It's simple. Injuries can happen anywhere.
Yeah, I know that, but they're usually
injuries can happen. They're playing 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5 at Cook Hall. They can happen anywhere, and unless you're going to put these guys in a bubble, because there's a lot of coaches that in the fall don't like their kids playing outside of their program. Kids get happy. Look, we had a deal with Eric Gordon once. Back when Eric was coming through, there was an open period in September. And we would go to Iowa every year for this tournament out there. And Eric was supposed to go with a younger team. I had a 17-year-old group. He was going to go with a 16-year-old group. And the last minute, Coach Mitchell wouldn't let him go. And Travis Steele was coaching that group. Travis Steele, now the head coach at Miami of Ohio. He was coaching that group, and he called me and he's like, well, Eric can't come because Coach Mitchell won't let him go. And that's Coach Mitchell's prerogative, of course. And there's no criticism of it other than the fact that he's like, I didn't want him to get hurt. Well, Eric fractured his wrist that day in open gym. Now, I'm not going to tell you that he wouldn't have gotten hurt playing in Iowa, but I can tell you he wouldn't have been in open gym and taken the fall that he did if he'd have been on the van with us heading over to Iowa City. So injuries can happen anywhere, and they're specifically unavoidable. You can't. The only way you can avoid injury is to do what I do, and that's just not move very fast ever. So it's been a long time since I've been injured. It's been a long time since I've been injured, and there's a reason for that. But it's a good question, Ross. And how the pro-ams work, they have to be certified. There has to be an NCAA certification with it, and there's certain things that they are allowed to do and not allowed to do. I don't know what that list is anymore of what they're not allowed to do. Basically, it's just a list of things they can't do, but they can't be compensated for it. Although I don't know how that works with today's.
I was going to say, why not? They're paid for everything else. If they can say that the fact that they're appearing in that is their name.
I think it's another way to control that the organization can't make money off of it either. So that I don't know. I don't know. We thought about doing one because I used to do a summer league for colleges. And basically it ended up being a really good group we didn't even worry about the Division I stuff. It ended up being two really good groups of Division II kids. There's more rules there involving the NCAA, the D2 guys than there would have been the NAIA guys. We had D3 teams play fully as a team. We had NAIA teams play fully as a team. For about 3 years, that thing was going pretty well. And then when more and more of the smaller schools started having their camps in June, it just sort of took some of it away. And it just became not nearly as cool as it was. And the summer stuff was never much of a moneymaker. It was always just to keep a lot of these kids played in my fall league when they came through high school and just continued to play in, in this college stuff that we did. And it was just a way for them to continue to play. And it was a fun way to get to see some of the better NAIA and Division III teams as well in this area to play. So, but
Where and when is the Kyle Guy taking place?
I think it's Tuesdays at Finch Creek.
When you said Tuesdays and
Tuesdays, yeah, plural. Yeah, I think it's hold on, let me see if I can dig it up here. Kind of weird name. Drizzy Open Run. Let's see.
I did not know that this was a more than one time affair.
Yeah, it's meant to be a pro-am.
I know, but usually pro-ams are an event.
No, they're multiple. No, they're multiple weeks. July 12th through August 2nd. The championship is August 6th. Every Tuesday from the 12th to the 6th. And then August 6th, which would be probably a Friday, right? Mojo Up Sports Complex, which is Finch Creek in Noblesville.
So
put on by Kyle Guy and DG Mindset.
So I'd love to get
Grant.
Kyle. Hey, you're supposed to be working on getting Kyle on, by the way.
That's done. I'll give you his contact info.
Yeah, do that because that would be great to talk about this event. That's coming up starting in what tomorrow? Today? Hell,
Yeah,
what is today?
tomorrow.
That starts tomorrow.
So here's one team. I'll read you some of these teams right quick. Jordan Walker, Kyle Guy, Deshaun Francis from Lawrence North, Anthony Leal. We know who that is, right? Gary Harris,
yeah.
Miles Colvin, who's still in high school, Devin Thomas, Miller Kopp, Gary McGee, who was from Anderson Highland, played at Pitt. Another team, Jack Davidson, CJ Walker, Tyler Persons, Kyle Mangus, DJ Hughes, Tajay Teague, Jonah Carrasco, Jonathan Nwankwo. I omitted a W there. Here's another team, Justin Roberts, Jordan Geist, who played for me, Xavier Johnson from Indiana University, Aaron Harris, who played for me, Manuel Little, Josh Price, Marcor Poe, who played where? I can't remember where he played. I'll see if I can just click some of the other IU names. And there's a team there that's no IU guys. So at least 3 IU guys are playing. Joey Brunk is playing with a team 360 or shoot 360.
Where is that list, by the way?
On the let me get there real quick. Let's see that.
Or just email or email
Tamar
it to me.
Bates. Tamar Bates playing as well. So there's 4 IU guys playing. Look up on Twitter. Look up Drizzy Runs. Dizzy Runs. DIZZY RUNS.
Right.
That's where you'll find the info. I don't know if there's a website or not. There is no website listed.
I'm still shocked that with the length of this thing. So I was under the impression it was one event, and I was still a little. I was like, wow, I can't believe the coaches would allow them to play in that event. I am really beyond shocked that they are going to let them play in this. That will take them right up.
The Knox Pro-Am was a big deal for a while. Put on by Carlos Knox, who played at IUPUI. And again, the injury side of this is unavoidable. And I get the timing of it, but it is just one day. The Knox Pro-Am was kind of a big event. They played that at IUPUI every year. They would have pros. They would have college players. There would be, you notice there's no current Purdue players playing in this thing. So maybe Paint didn't want to play. There was no, but those programs back in the day were really good. And NBA guys would play into it, and sometimes they would just show up and play, and other times, they may not be there. But the only way to avoid injury is just to never play. It's coaches that now that you obviously want to play with players, as many players as you can who have as much to lose as you do, so they're not going to be out there doing stupid stuff like some fat 52-year-old guy trying to get up and take a charge or block somebody at the rim, which of course that part I would never do. But you want to play with like-minded, like-abled individuals. You don't want to be in a situation where you're putting yourself at unnecessary risk. But yeah, it's good competition. Params are always fun. They're basically all-star games. There's not going to be a lot of team defense being played. I'm sure there'll be some individual situations.
You know what? I just realized we're out of time, but
nice.
We'll make sure that the Hoosier.com will be covering each and every one of those. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to talking about that more though, and we'll get to talk about it each week since it's starting on. But yeah, send me the info for Kyle. I'd love to get him on ASAP to talk about it.
Okay.
But thanks to you, of course. Thanks to Caleb Knost, Kyler Staley, Dustin Dopirak, Joe, the producers on all week here today. So JPT too. Thanks to all those guys. Most importantly, thanks to you all. Without you, we've got no reason to be here, and we cannot thank you enough and greatly appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again with plenty more information. I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.